Alright. Welcome, y'all, to episode 36 of the Endless Enjoyment Podcast. I'm your host, V Chenzo. Today we have a special guest.
My name is Mary J.
Hey, she knows how the radio shit works, so she jumps in.
Definitely.
Singer, songwriter, folk, pop, singer, songwriter.
Yes.
Mary J's in the building. What up?
Yeah.
Got your new song, your first song that's out?
Yes, yeah. So it's my first song like actually getting recorded and produced actually by a friend of ours. So I'm
Shout
really
out
excited
Matt.
about. Yeah, shout out Matt. It sounds fantastic. Some of the best production I've ever gotten to work with. Which definitely came from like not a surprising source in the sense that it's him, but like how we met. Like just working together and he was like, "Yeah, like let me produce your song." And I'm like,
Well,
I
'cause
mean,
you
I've
had
gotten,
you had some trouble recording it at first, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm good at live sound. That's like what I've been trained how to do, and then I'm good at like radio broadcasting work and that kind of technology. But when it comes to like mixing and mastering, that is just not my forte at all.
Yeah.
And I can't have anything set up in my house for that. I don't have the money for stuff like that. So.
For real, so you had to outsource, and luckily, one of the people. So we're working together now. I don't
Yeah.
know how much can we talk about that.
I mean, we're good. Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
don't see why
Mary's
not.
actually my boss,
Yeah.
my manager. I'm a bud tender now.
Yes, I'm keeping score of how this goes.
Oh boy, but yeah. So I mentioned it in some of the last couple pod episodes. Because we're back from a hiatus. We're back with the weekly episodes. But I mentioned that I'm a bud tender now and haven't got really deep into it. But yeah, come check us out at the Holistic Connection, 8th
Yes,
Avenue. We out here.
absolutely.
We got all that legal THC.
Yes, legal hemp derived THC.
Cannabis products. Shout out Craft Cannabis.
Shout out Mike Solomon.
Yeah, cool ass dude. But anyways, so a couple months ago, I had met April from going in to the Holistic Connection. I was looking for work after, coming back to Nashville from Mass for like after the holiday season. I was like needed work bad, and I was like I want to do something that I'm gonna enjoy. So I met April. I was like adamant. She was like, "Well, our manager Mary will be here tomorrow." I was like, "Well, I'm coming back tomorrow." So
I remember you handing me your resume too because it was like it wasn't laminated. It was printed on just like high quality plastic coated paper. I still have it. It's in the office too.
should frame that.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Out of all the resumes anyone that works there has handed me, that one was just kind of like, what is
I
this?
was trying to get a job.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And you got the jobs.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you. Like off rip, this is good vibes at the Holistic Connection, and I
Absolutely.
literally couldn't be happier right now to be working with such great people.
Oh yeah.
Sounds cliche, but I'm dead ass serious.
Yeah,
And
100%.
Mary's the best boss I've ever had, and she's younger than me.
No,
So
it's a really fun industry to work up in. It's a really fun industry to be a part of, especially one that like coming from somebody personally who just never would have imagined myself in that industry to just kind of be so deep into it. And like this wasn't what I like went to college for whatsoever. And I feel like that's something I really like try to reiterate with people younger than me as well. Like if they are so far in debt for something they went to college for that they've been burnt out on, because that's kind of what I experienced
mhm.
after 4 years of the same thing in college and getting a degree. That like as long as you can support yourself and you're happy and you are kind of living your best life, there's really doesn't matter what that piece of paper says. So.
For sure. So then, I remember you told me, but like, how did you end up working at the Holistic Connection?
So I have actually had chronic complex migraines since I was like 7 or 8 years old. Late elementary school, like early middle school, and just from the background that I grew up in, I'm sure it's not something my family would absolutely love me sharing, but like we weren't financially the most well off people, and for a diagnosis like that, you have to have so much money to see so many specialists and get treatment for that at starting at such a young age. And so we really had to explore more holistic options because we didn't really have another choice. So also coming from a very, at the time, Catholic upbringing, to be like, okay, well, cannabis is really the only option for us at this point. CBD oil was just, made available in my hometown at the time, in my home state. And so we started using that, and it was pretty much kind of what got me through early childhood and early adulthood. And when I moved back to Nashville after I kind of left for a little bit when I graduated, um, it was kind of just one of the first things I found that was open when I was looking for a job. And so my experience using CBD products from such a young age and just having that background knowledge was what like initially landed me the interview. But what landed me the job actually was how I was able to handle kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily a bad, but not necessarily a good experience at the dab bar. You would know we have essentially whenever you are interviewing at the Holistic Connection, you have a friends and family interview where you bring in a couple friends, you get to serve them dabs behind the bar, and it's kind of just meant for managers and the other coworkers to see how you're going to interact with everybody behind the bar and make sure you follow certain protocols. And my sister was the only person I brought, and she blacked out when she took her dab and passed out and fell out of the chair. And because it's my sister and I'm so used to seeing that from her, like growing up, that I was just kind of like, oh, she's fine. And so the managers were like, oh, you're so good under pressure. This is great. You're perfect for the job. And I'm like, no, it's really just because I know my sister. And she's like, she'll wake up in a couple minutes. It's fine.
It should be good.
Yeah.
We don't. No one call the authorities.
Yeah, yeah. Just slap her a couple times, pour some Coke on her face, you're good.
Jeez.
I would like to reiterate, I mean Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Just so we can
Yeah.
put some cocaine under her nose.
Yeah.
She'll be alright.
Yeah, I mean that'll do it probably. I feel like that would work.
Some smelling salt.
Yeah. Don't try this at home, kids.
But yeah, damn. So you went to school in did you go to MTSU?
Yes, I went to MTSU. I did the recording industry major, the RIM programs. There's three options if you go through that kind of degree kind of process with MTSU. It's music business, songwriting, and audio production. I started out as a music business student. I technically graduated with the audio production degree, but honestly, if you look at my like transcripts and everything, all the classes I took, I did not take a single upper division audio course. So don't really ask me how to do any of that because I'm not gonna know.
How did you get by? How'd you...
Oh, okay. This is actually a hilarious story. So I was finishing up all my music business classes, all my like undergrad classes, and it was like the end of my sophomore year, early junior year, and I took my first, it's like the first class you have to take that kind of branches out into the upper division courses for audio production. And this class, I'm trying to remember what it was called, but that professor just did not like me, and I didn't really like his class. That just ended up making me not like him either. But what frustrated me was I kind of signed up for the audio production course for live sound and radio broadcasting. That was really what I was wanting to focus on. And while MTSU likes to boast that they are very broad when it comes to audio production, every single one of your classes, once you get to upper division courses, is radio, or not radio, it's like recording arts, like being in the studio.
Yeah.
And coming from a singer-songwriter, I absolutely hate doing that. I don't like recording myself in the studio. I don't like recording other artists in the studio. I hated being in the studio at 3 in the morning, just having to keep going over the same exact chords for hours until we got a good enough take that we could mix and master it later. I absolutely just, that part of the process for songwriting and performing for me is my least favorite part. So I took that class, I finished it out, I got a B, skated by, walked into my dean's office. And bear in mind, I came in as an out of state student, and the only scholarship I had was this it's like an ACM thing. It's if you're from an out of state bordering, like if you're from a bordering state, but that doesn't have an audio production course or like degree, you can get in state tuition at MTSU. So I kind of went in there and I was like, listen, I hate this degree. I hate these classes. I refuse to take another one of these classes because this is not what I signed up for at all. This is not what I was talked into. This is not what I was spending my money for. But if I change my major to music, like back to music business, I will lose my only scholarship and the only reason I can afford college. And so I ended up essentially going on exchange for a semester to kind of just like waste time. And then I only needed like 7 more credits to graduate anyway, so I just took 2 4-credit backpacking courses and with the rec management people, and it was just kind of like, you technically you've graduated because you only need 120 credits to graduate college. I was at like 123. So they're like, you can just leave with your degree, you're good. So I was like, okay, bye. Like, I'm not
Dude,
gonna waste
just
more money then.
right. They just want you to stay as long as possible there.
Exactly. I'm like, that beautiful piece of paper that I paid $27,000 for personally, my parents even more. I did not know how to do that. So,
Oh, trust me, I'm in a lot more debt than that.
yeah.
It is rough out here, but hey,
Mhm.
luckily I got a great job now that's helping
Oh
me
yeah,
pay the
100%. And this is definitely the industry to get into right now if
for
you want to be
sure.
financially stable and financially well off in the future. In my opinion, just like looking farther into it, this is like an industry where somebody that came from nothing could really make it big. It's like the next up and coming industry in this
For
economy.
sure, absolutely. And I mean, I think Colorado showed that, and they're making billies off
Oh yeah, 100%.
legal cannabis.
Right, and I don't
But
think it's necessarily like a red or blue like political debate anymore. Because I mean, you look at Alaska; they're a red state. They passed rec before they even passed medical. They've been a recreational state for a couple years now, and yeah, their consumption laws are pretty strict, but like they were recreational when I was living
I
up
say,
there.
what were you doing in Alaska
Oh my
when
god,
you
yeah.
were living?
So I've lived in Alaska for very short periods of time, like twice, because Alaska is, I have like a hyperfixation surrounding it. I am neurodivergent, and that was like the thing since I was 3 years old that I was like, I want to live in Alaska. So I've been there twice for extended periods of time, like a couple months at a
Yeah.
time. That's actually, if you listen to my EP, that's gonna be dropping in August. It's called What's Out There. Most, if not all, of the songs that are on that EP were either written when I was in the national parks, may or may not have been on edibles the entire time.
When he gets
Oh
mad
yeah, yeah. Well, that's how you do songwriting. Honestly, you just like take something.
and let
um.
it flow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just,
Absolutely. Um. But also other national parks around the country. Like the first song I ever wrote was when I was backpacking in Northern California. So that's pretty much where all my inspiration comes from, anyway. So
well, the first song you ever wrote is not the one that just came out, is it? It's not
no,
hasn't
no.
come out yet.
The one that just came out, it's called Metamorphosis, or a couple of friends also called the Caterpillar song. Just cause. That was actually probably, I mean, not now, but at the time that me and Matt were recording it, that was the most recent song I'd ever written. But I started writing the guitar riff, and I spent months on that finger picking part, perfecting and perfecting it, because that song I actually never planned on putting lyrics to. It was such just like a heart wrenching instrumental for me, and essentially what my goal was to put the emotion that I was feeling at the time, which was such a strong emotion, into music. And I didn't feel at the time that I could justifiably put it into words. Like it just wouldn't flow right. It didn't come out right. It never felt like I was saying exactly what I wanted to say. It always felt like I was leaving something unsaid. And instrumentals for me, especially the finger picking parts, really just allow me to let absolutely everything go. So I spent like 7 or 8 months writing that song, and it's only a 2 minute song. It's a very, very
Yeah.
short song. It's like two verses and one chorus.
So you just like took your time with the lyrics, like just let them come to you over time because
Yeah,
you started and not
100%.
wanting to put lyrics on it.
Yeah. I mean, and after I was working on the finger picking part, adding a couple of new techniques that I was kind of learning throughout the process of writing this song and getting ideas from other songwriters as well as on things I could improve on. Because finger picking was a fairly new style for me. I had just learned how to play Blackbird. Like, I really was new to that style. Um, so when I added the lyrics, it was mainly just like something that came out of me one night at like 3 in the morning when I just got bored and was like doing the same riff over and over again, just letting it flow out of me. And that was really therapeutic for me to kind of let go of that emotion as well. Which I think is why the song just came out for once as exactly what I wanted to say. But I remember when I finished the second verse that happens after the first chorus, it's literally just like 3 blocks of words. It's
Mm-hmm.
verse, chorus, verse. I remember I finally finished the finger picking part. It was done. And then I realized this is like a little too short of a song. I need to add some extra words and an extra like riff or something, and it sounded forced. So finally, I just looked at one of my songwriting friends and I'm like, this is it. This is the final product. I'm happy with this. I feel like if I add something more, it's gonna ruin it. So it's probably the thing I'm the most proud of when it comes to my music, and it's like the shortest song I've ever written by like half.
It's alright,
So
short and sweet.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're trying to get a point across, it once you make that point, there's no reason to keep going.
Yeah, right. It's well said. So yeah, I don't even know how we got started there
I
because I didn't even look at my notes. And there's just you have a lot going on from going. You're from Kentucky.
yes.
You've lived in Alaska.
Oh
You
my God,
went
I've
to
jumped around.
school
I
in
moved down to
Tennessee.
Florida after I graduated Tennessee. I've been to both ends of this country.
Jeez, I've not been that far west. I think Memphis is the farthest west
That
I've been.
doesn't count.
That's what
No,
I'm saying.
Memphis
I
counts.
haven't been
Memphis
far. I'm saying
counts.
that is still west from here. Just saying that's as far as I've gone. Like I have yet to
Right,
go
right.
farther than that, and I really want to check it out. But
100%. My whole family, even coming from the background that I did, every single member of my family, I think except for my dad, but I might even be wrong on. No, I am wrong on that. My dad's been to Aruba. That counts.
I'm going to
Yeah, screw.
Aruba.
I've never been out of the country. I'm the only person in my entire family, like even indirect family, who's never been out of the country because every single opportunity I've had to has been like universally squandered by like some cataclysmic event like COVID or
Yeah.
like the last time I was supposed to go was during the Ebola crisis and I was supposed to go to Africa
Jeez.
and I was just kind of like and that was right when that happened. So I've never been out of the country. I've never had the opportunity to go and I was supposed to go to Disneyland Paris actually this fall and that got canceled like a month ago. But because of the opportunity or I guess the missed opportunities to go out of the country, I've been able to take more opportunities, kind of explore this country
Yeah.
instead, to where at least I'm traveling a little bit because I'm a little bit of a travel bug. So,
Oh yeah. That's the best thing for you, I think, to experience different cultures, different people, different
yeah,
foods. Just like get out of where you're from
yeah.
and see how the world, because it shows you how similar the world is and how people can relate to each other and how different they are at the same time.
Yeah, it opens your eyes to things that you wouldn't have thought possible before, and like, I'm so glad out of so many people from my hometown that I was able to kind of leave and not to say that like never leaving your hometown is a bad thing. It's not. There if you enjoy that, that is amazing and take that opportunity to have that small community of people you know and support you. I love that. If I felt like I was able to, I would consider moving back to my small town. It's just not necessarily a community that I feel like would support my lifestyle and support me. But and because all my loved ones at this point, other than some direct family members, pretty much live in Nashville, so there's no point in me leaving here at this point.
Right.
But just kind of getting out, when you're growing up, especially as a child, a lot of ways that your parents view the world or kind of their values are pretty much you're going to soak that in and just spit it back out for a while. And I feel like personally, if you never leave your hometown, that you never stop regurgitating that because you don't know any different. So it's really just seeing other cultures and seeing kind of the way the world works. So you'll get to learn things that nobody would have taught you, and you'll get to see things in a light that you never would have seen back home. It's incredibly eye opening. And, unfortunately, economically, not everyone is capable of doing that, which is why personally I think education just it should be free as far as like public education and like genuinely having like access to it, access to information, access to the internet for especially for people in rural communities like I grew up in because not everyone can leave. They need to have access to the outside world in that sense to form legitimate opinions on like any kind of societal, economical, or political issues.
Yeah, anything that's going on outside of their small community,
Yeah,
really.
100%. Because even if you're in a rural community, your vote is going to affect the rest of the country. And, not everybody lives in a way that you do. And that not everything that works for you is going to work for somebody that's living in, like, Chicago if you're coming from a small city in Texas. So, yeah. We fell down like
Yeah.
a
I
rabbit
know.
hole with that
So
one.
yeah, we kind of skipped over. What were you doing living in
Oh
Florida?
my God, yeah. No, I So when I graduated college, I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I didn't have any like immediate career openings. I had a lot of interviews. Even before I graduated, like the 2 months leading up to my graduation, I had like 10 or 11 interviews with companies that were in my degree field, and I didn't get any of them, which was very disheartening. I was like, oh my God, I'm a failure. This was all worthless. I am in so much debt for no reason. I got to go back home, work at a coffee shop or something. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, and that's ended up being what I'm doing, and I'm glad for it. But I really just could not imagine after finally spending 4 years away from my hometown and having that kind of independence and the access to almost like a bigger life than I was able to have before. Um, I couldn't imagine going back. And so I kind of took the opportunity because it was either be homeless, move back, or go find a easy to get job that took care of your housing for you. And I considered the Disney College program that third option because you can actually do that after you graduate college. You just have to do it within 6 months or apply for it within 6 months. So I ended up pretty much right after graduation. I moved back home for a month and a half to kind of take care of some things. I worked at a tractor supply, which was actually way more fun of a job than I thought it would be. I do miss that job slightly just because of how fun it was. But I ended up, getting the call saying I got the job down at Disney World and moved down there for the 50th anniversary. I got to work at Disney World, which definitely had its ups and downs. I could go for, like, an hour on all the different experiences I had working at Disney because they were it was a lot of good and bad. But pretty much right when that ended, I had a couple different opportunities to move to some different places. I had some interview offers and some career offers back up in my hometown that were within my degree field. I had, actually some really big job offers, so I'd already gotten through the interview process in Alaska and in Florida that were all within my degree field. And so I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm being pulled all these different ways. And I remember I was having like mental breakdown after mental breakdown just on the job at Disney World because it was so much all at once and I couldn't tell where the universe was telling me to go because it felt like we were going everywhere all at once. And so finally, something in the back of my mind just was like, just move back to Nashville. And then I like called my sister and called my mom, and I was just kind of like, I have no housing. I have no job offer or even interview offers in Nashville. I have no reason to want to move back to Nashville right now. But something in my gut is just telling me that that's the right thing to do. And I really can't not listen to my gut. And everything else just seems so stressful that, like, it seems like the least stressful option. So I'm glad that I did it because actually, on my drive up from Orlando, Florida to Nashville, because I found a last minute room opening at a house for like $500 in this broom closet of a room off Antioch Pike. And essentially on my drive back up here, I was like halfway here and I got a call from SiriusXM giving me a job interview. And then the day that I moved all of my stuff in from my hometown into my new place in Nashville, I got the job offer from there. And then a month later, I ended up working at the Holistic Connection. So it ended up like, I'm glad my gut was right. I don't know what or how I was able to tell that something like this would happen. Or
Right.
maybe, it was really just like my gut just was just being crazy.
Gotta
And
follow
like,
it.
yeah, you know what I mean? Just, I don't know. So much good has happened for me moving back that I don't know if it would have ever been the wrong decision to do this.
I feel the same way.
Right.
I didn't know what was gonna happen come down here, and even just I've been here a year now, and even just the last couple months, I wouldn't have even thought that I'd be slaying that legal THC.
Oh, yeah.
And it
100%.
is a dream job for sure, and I love working with you guys. And yeah, I just appreciate y'all.
Yeah. It was actually a little bit of an accident that I applied for the company. I thought I was applying for a different
Oh yeah,
job and Indeed like glitched and sent the Holistic Connection
because it
my
used to
resume.
be.
It used to
Was
be
the
like
Bellmead
beans and greens
was
or
that the
something.
Bellmead location
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to
yeah,
be?
yeah. I had my interview there and like everybody at the Holistic Connection and this isn't dogging on anyone. I'm definitely one of those people that's like dress the way that just for the job that you want to get, not the job that you're trying to get, essentially. And like, I've definitely shown up to interviews in jeans and, like, a t-shirt before. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But I was on my way to my first day at SiriusXM when I had my interview for the Holistic Connection, so I was in a pantsuit with my hair slicked back. Like, I looked like a corporate, like, I looked
Yeah.
like I worked for the damn government when I walked into Belmead,
Mhm.
which, the person who was managing at the time, Grace, she definitely commented on. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
100%. I mean, it was all just kind of like a random series of events that got me that job, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right? 'Cause you
And
weren't
in
even
so
smoking,
many ways.
right? Till
Oh
you
yeah, no, no, no. The only time I've ever smoked before I started working for this company has been when I was too drunk to care what was being handed to me in college at parties. Like I was so like I was like 7 beers in and somebody passes a joint to me and I'm like, "Okay."
You don't even remember it, yeah, so
Exactly. And like I wouldn't have known
so
what
do you
being
remember the
like.
first time you actually smoked was? Like here?
Wait, like at the Holistic Connection or in
Yeah.
college?
No, I'm not. I'm obviously just saying you were blacked out for that.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm
no, I
saying,
don't
do you
remember which.
remember like your
No.
first smoke sesh at Holistic Connection or what you were trying, or was it the THCA flower? Or was
So I
it?
do remember the first thing I ever smoked at the Holistic Connection. It was after my very first day. They had actually they had hazed me and this kid Bryce, who worked with me or who joined the same day as I did,
Mhm.
with the gummy bear. Because it at the time, not dogging on our production team because it tastes a lot better now. But 2 years ago, you could only taste the distillate in it. So they were hazing all of the new employees with the gummy bear. So we closed out our shift, we closed out the register, and it was my first day of training. We locked the store up and we end up opening a THCA glue stick pre-roll. So it's a hybrid heavy indica. And again, at the time, I had never smoked sober. So
Yeah.
I'm trying, emphasis on trying to get home at this point, like calling my roommate. My first day of work, like, I think I need you to pick me up. I've taken 2 hits of this pre-roll and I can't move right now. Like, I was just sitting on the sidewalk in the parking lot, like, I can't do this today.
Damn.
So,
The glue
yeah.
stick
The glue
will
stick's good
get
though.
you.
It tastes fantastic.
That's how you know our stuff's the real deal though. She was sober,
Yeah.
she tried it.
And that's not even one of our high potency strains anymore. That's like
True,
one of
yeah.
the lower potency ones, and it still hits.
Right? That's the
So,
thing. Like when people come in, they're like, "We want the THC." It's like we got it. It's just the legal amount of it, and it's also why does everyone like need to smoke insanely potent weed? Like some
right.
people do enjoy mildly potent
Oh
weed.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Honestly, a lot of people that come in, especially from states like California or Colorado, they come in, they're specifically like, I don't want anything that has CBD in it alongside the THC, like 0% CBD. And I'm like, okay, number one, you're not gonna get that in our
Yeah.
state because that's the only way we can make it legal is having that CBD in there. But number two, you have the entourage effect. So essentially, when you're intaking THC and CBD at the same time,
Mhm.
that CBD is going to make the THC feel more potent. They're interacting together almost like a group of friends would. That's why it's called the entourage effect.
Entourage.
But
That's my favorite show of all time.
oh yeah, yeah.
Entourage.
But so that's why I try to tell people on like all of our edibles, all of our flour, there's a reason why it has CBD in it. It's not just a legal reason. I promise you it's going to hit just as hard, and that's mainly because of that CBD in there. And that also just adds a little bit of a medical benefit to it as well.
Isn't it
So,
interesting too how though taking CBD while you're taking the THC on the come of is gonna help you get
yes.
high with like the
Right.
entourage effect, but then if you take the CBD after you've already peaked, it's gonna calm you down.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. It's weird, but I guess it's like mainly something to do with like the process that your brain like processes THC, like your cannabinoid system essentially. I don't
Like
remember.
if they're
I'm
processing
like
them together rather than the CBD alone,
exactly because
right?
it's not going in. There's a inhibitor in your brain. It's like CB1, I think, is the name of it. And this little process in your brain that happens when you're intaking THC and CBD at the same time, where it like processes that THC. So if you're doing it at the same time, it's almost like enhancing it. Whereas you've already processed the THC or you're in the middle of it, and you have the CBD come in and it almost like it closes it off. I don't know if that's like exactly what happens, but like that's what makes sense. That's kind of like how I
Mhm.
explain it. And that is essentially what it feels like whenever you try to do that. But you have to be careful about it because if you think you're peaking and you're not yet and you take CBD, it's just going to make the peak so much worse.
Right. So you
Or better, depending on
maybe
the
waited
person.
out a few minutes before you
Yeah,
decided to take
yeah.
it. Um. Yeah, I don't know how we got there.
Right.
We're talking you working at Disney to moving back to Nashville. When were you in Alaska?
Okay, okay. So, like, my
So you spent like
timeline.
your whole so you spent like 1 through
Wha
18 in
Okay, I got
Kentucky.
you, I got you. Um, my timeline might even be slightly off with this just because, like, so much happened to me while I was in college that, like, altered my brain chemistry literally, that my timeline for how my college experience went, and that's another reason why I tell people, "Don't ask me what my degree's in." I don't remember a lot of college, and it's not completely because I was drunk a lot of it, because I was sober for my classes. I will always say that. I never
Mhm.
went to class under the influence. Um don't do that.
No
Um,
comment.
um,
Oh.
yeah, but, like, just, other things that happened to me during my college experience just kind of I don't remember. It's like trauma brain just blacked out a lot of my college experience. So I grew up my entire childhood until I graduated high school. I lived in Kentucky, right outside of Louisville. You have to say it like Louisville. It's Louisville. If you say it any differently, you're wrong. If you're talking about the Kentucky city, you're
Louis.
wrong. Oh my god. It's still like I don't even live there anymore. I don't consider myself a resident, but like, it still gets under my skin. But I graduated
Louisville.
high
No,
school.
I'm kidding.
But I graduated high school. I moved down to Nashville, um, my sophomore year of college. So around that time, I applied to do this. It was like working for a hotel out in Denali, Alaska. It's like the Holland America Princess cruise line company. Um, they essentially you fly out there, they pay you minimum wage to work at their hotel, and then you fly back once the summer like season is over because they shut down everything at that point. And they do that, especially with college students, because a lot of these little tourist areas, especially in like the heart of Alaska, since they're not open year round, it's hard for them to find remote employees or Alaskan employees just because like everyone that lives up there year round has full-time jobs. So there's no reason for them to be working at these like seasonal businesses.
Mhm.
So they flew all of us out there and I definitely that was the first time I really tried edibles, that which I
So
have so many
I
stories.
say, can we hear the moose
Oh
story?
my god. Okay, okay. Yes, yes, yes.
It's a
Um
good one.
so that was the first time I went to Alaska. I had tried and bear in mind, so like now that I think about it, that was the first time I tried to smoke THC. It's legal marijuana in Alaska. Um
The difference.
oh yeah,
What's the difference?
specifically I have to like reiterate that. It's the only place I've smoked it. Maybe. But I was trying. It was really that was probably my first time actually trying to smoke sober because I wanted to actually know what being high felt like and why so many people wanted to do it all the time, why it was so enjoyable because I didn't get it. I knew why people drank, but like didn't really understand what the whole like cool thing about smoking was. And so I, would buy a couple pre-rolls, we'd smoke, or we'd buy some loose flower and we'd hit a bowl and pass it around. And I just couldn't get high. I would smoke like 2 or 3 bowls and feel absolutely nothing. And so I was like, "Well, this is stupid. I'm just coughing. Like, I'm getting nothing out of this. Like, this isn't fun to me." I lost my voice at one point because we were smoking so much, and it was just kind of like, "I'm feeling nothing. This is stupid. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm just gonna like drink my beer and go about my day." So I remember we were specifically at a party, and I don't want to like
In the
oust.
woods.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm not
Not
going
a house
to
party.
yeah, I'm not going to specifically state kind of the whereabouts of where these parties took place because there's people who probably still utilize this space and I don't want to get them in trouble because that's like their only place to party and they're
So shout
probably
out
still
those
doing it. So,
people
yeah, I'm not going to say where it is in this area essentially,
of
but we would go
Alaska.
out in the woods and we would like drink and smoke and do edibles and things like that.
Mhm.
I had a couple of friends who were like dropping acid and stuff out there. I never did that. I was their trip buddy for it, but they always ended up acting so weird that it like scared me out of it. And props to whoever wants to do that. Like, cool for you. It's just that looks scary to me. But one of my friends comes up to me, and I was like the designated sober person for the night because we didn't have designated drivers because we had to hike to this location. So we had designated sober people to walk everybody back the correct direction to the cabins.
To herd the cat, the
Yeah,
herd
we
the
had to
sheep.
herd all of these college students back. And one of my friends comes up to me. Her name's Max. And she's just like, hey, I brought you some edibles. I know that you don't really want to smoke anymore. Um, Sometimes this works better for people. I got you two. Eat the first one. You can have the second one in like an hour. If it works, you owe me $20. If it doesn't work, happy birthday. I paid for it. Don't think about it anymore. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I eat the first one and nothing happens. And I ate it pretty slowly. Like I like nibbled on this little Girl Scout cookie essentially. And I waited like 2 hours and felt nothing. And so I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna do anything. So I go and get the second cookie from her. And I end up dropping it in in a puddle. And I didn't want to taste like wet earth floor, you know what I mean? So
Earth floor.
so I just swallowed it whole because I didn't want to chew on it. Which was a bad idea because probably within 15 minutes I felt so high. Like I was gone. I felt like hot lava was being poured all over my body. It wasn't a fun high. I'll admit I did not have a good experience at that point. Because I just wasn't ready for it. But I couldn't move my neck. I was just like looking up the whole time. Like I couldn't straighten my neck. So finally I look at Max and I'm like, we need to go back, but I need to go like, I need to do my business. I'm gonna walk like a couple paces into the woods so nobody can see me. And then I'll come back so we can do like the 2 mile hike to get back to the cabin. So this is like the definition of getting caught with your pants down, literally. I walked out like 50 paces into the tree line, squatted down, and I was just sitting there doing my thing. And I hear like I'm like staring at the ground because I can't move. I'm so high. And I just hear a rustle and I like you don't hallucinate on a weed. That's not a
Yeah.
thing that happens. So I
No.
know this happened. I know this was real because I like especially because this came from a legal dispensary. This wasn't like something somebody
Yeah.
high schooler gave
Some
me.
sketchy edibles are.
Right, right. And so I hear a like movement and I like look up and probably about 15 feet away from me, max, a fucking moose just walks out of the tree line. And the first thing that goes through my head is I can't run right now. I could barely walk to get to this spot. There's no way I can run. And like you don't want to run anyway. So it's just kind of like I'm like frozen and I'm looking at it and it turns and it notices me and it's just staring me down. And it's a female moose and this is calf season. So I'm like, where's the baby? Like I'm trying to go through all these different scenarios in my head and finally I come to the realization I'm gonna die right here. And that sucks, but what a way to go. Like, it better say on my epitaph, I was high as shit and I got trampled by a moose, because that's the way to go.
I don't know about
But
that.
it ended up like, I kind of got bored because I wasn't moving. I was just sitting there on the ground and it ended up walking away. I waited a couple minutes to make sure I didn't agitate anything by standing up, turned around, got back to my group, took one look at Max, and I was like, somebody's taking me the fuck home right
I
now,
just saw a
and I am
moose.
never coming back out here. I didn't drink or didn't do anything for the rest of the summer. I just stayed in the cabin. So,
Terrified of the moose.
yeah. That was also the day I learned how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, though. Cause
I forgot why those.
oh yeah. That's like a totally different thing. We got back, and I had the munchies at that point because edibles do that. You're gonna get the munchies. And the only thing I had to make was, or that like any of my friends had food wise, was peanut butter and jelly stuff. Little bit of context. I grew up hating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, least favorite food of all time, only because nobody had the heart to explain to me how to properly prepare a peanut butter and jelly.
Properly.
I know. Well, it sounds obvious, but hear me out. I was always shown by my mother. Maybe I don't know. Sorry, mom, not to call you out, but you do bread, and then you spread the peanut butter on it, and then you get jelly, and you spread the jelly on the peanut butter, and then you put the other slice of bread on it. And what always frustrated me is the jelly would just kind of roll around because it's like oil on oil, and so you're getting random bites of all peanut butter and random like bites of
Chunks
all
of
jelly.
jelly.
And so I just hated peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Finally, I'm high out of my mind. We're back at the cabins. And I'm having to do this one step at a time because I can't move. I don't even remember getting back to the cabin at this point. Like, I genuinely have no memory of going from the woods to the cabin. But I put the 2 slices of bread down and I put peanut butter on one. I put the peanut butter away so I know I like make sure to remember to do that. And then I grab the other slice of bread and put the jelly on it. And proceed to have a probably 2 hour long existential crisis because nobody explained to me that you could put the peanut butter and the jelly on the two pieces of bread and then put them together so it would be an even spread.
How's that news?
And so I literally, there was one guy that started laughing at me and I punched him and then proceeded to cuss him out. Then that guy didn't talk to me for the rest of the summer either. But I was so mad that people were making fun of me for like the entire rest of the summer about this stupid peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I do love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches now though. They are delicious.
When
Now
made
that I know,
proper, when
yeah, when
properly
made
prepared.
properly, they are delicious. So, I mean, at this point, honestly, I'm still buying Uncrustables because I'm too lazy to
Right.
do that. But
The more you know.
yeah, 100%. This is like a cooking
So
show now, honestly.
we should start one.
I'll just see. We have a whole table right here. I'll just make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Wow, we could do that on your podcast.
Oh yeah,
And say
100%.
so we could talk about that. You want to start your own podcast?
Yes, I've got like a couple different ideas, but really the one that I am most excited about is a project called Hot Tokes. So instead of hot takes, is a hot toke. And essentially what it is we kind of just talk about really hot topics, either political or like societal things that people are just really uncomfortable talking about, like sober, and we just get really high or drunk before we talk about it.
Yeah.
So we're not mad at each other, we're not fighting, everybody's chill about the conversation. Because honestly, some of the best and most profound conversations I've ever had with people and the most eye-opening conversations have been at bars or
Right.
been at parties or
Smoke
been like,
sessions.
yeah, definitely smoke sessions. So like, why not? I feel like that
Yeah.
would be fun. And then we could like talk about what strain we're smoking that day or talk about like what beer we're drinking that day, what device we're using to smoke, things like that.
Yeah, I feel like smoke sessions, especially, I mean, drinking to it in like the
Yeah.
right setting can
Yeah, 100%.
spark great conversation. But
Yeah.
smoking, I feel like, is way more likely to do that because you're way. It's like say our store or the dab bar, for
Yeah,
example.
I mean,
It's
we're therapists for a lot of people that come through our
right, but
doors.
it's
I mean,
never like super loud and obnoxious in there. You
oh,
know
no,
what I
no, no,
mean? It's
no.
always just like
Yeah,
you can have a great conversation
right.
if you want it
And
in
like,
there.
not to say that being like, I props to any bartender that works at like not, I don't want to say legitimate, but like an actual bar.
Yeah,
Like a,
busy bar.
yeah, not even a busy bar, but like a bar that serves alcohol. Like, we have
Where
beer
drunk
and
people
then
are at,
dabs. It's
yeah.
so different.
Yeah, no, people aren't getting drunk.
Exactly. They're definitely getting stoned at our place,
Oh
but they're
yeah.
not getting drunk. But like props to anyone who works at those places because the amount at least when I was a server, even when I was just a server and not like bartending or anything like that, the amount of times I would get inappropriate conversations, inappropriate touching, just a lot of
Yeah.
harassment, bar
Fights. Yeah.
fights, yeah, things like that that were just so commonplace that I've seen like maybe twice in 2 years at
Yeah.
our store.
Right.
And because of the type of environment we have and the type of environment that we're trying to promote, we shut that down quick. Like if you're not here to chill, you can leave. Like
Right.
we're a retail spot too. Buy your stuff and go do it at home if you're gonna be like an ass.
Yeah.
So
Good vibes only.
exactly,
That's like the best part. Is just, I
one hundred
never
percent.
had a bad day working there, honestly. And if you have a bad day, like outside of work, no one ever brings that into
Oh
work.
yeah,
You know.
it's hard to, especially because at least the team that we have and like all of our coworkers, we're so close friends wise too.
Dream team.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like I talk to pretty much everyone in the company about how I've never at any job I've ever had, even at Disney World, ever had a team where we all liked each other this much.
For real.
Um,
I mean, I've enjoyed my security. I don't want to say that. I've loved a lot of the security team.
right.
But then it's like I work with so many people doing security. It's like you can't get to know everybody that you work with.
Yeah. And then there's also like I've had jobs where there's never really been any issues, like no drama, nothing like that. But there's definitely people that you consider coworkers and then your coworkers that you could also consider friends.
Mhm.
And I feel like at the Holistic Connection, at least for our team, and then quite a few of the people outside of our direct team, it's almost like having a direct family and an indirect family because there is not a single person on our team that I would consider just a coworker because I consider everyone family and we all
For
just
real, yeah.
genuinely get along that well. And
Mhm.
then we have so many people at the corporate level and then at the other locations that we also are just like, you should come out for drinks with us.
Right.
Or, hey, we're having our team meeting at Jack Brown's this week. Who's paying for the beer? Like, it's genuinely such a good time working with everybody
Mhm.
that it's so impossible to bring bad vibes to work because it's like
You
being
really
up
gotta
it
try to bring it
right,
in.
right, because it's genuinely like coming to it's like going to a being in a bad mood and going to a friend's house to like let out some steam and just be like, "Hey, I really just need to be around you right now because I need some like I need to be reminded of like the support system that I have and the good friends that I have because when you have a bad day and then you come into work and you see who you're working with and who's on the schedule with you, you're like,
Yeah.
"Damn, it's going to be a good time," you know? So,
Or even just the customers when they come in
oh
and they
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
they're having a great time and great experience and like you share that good energy with them
Yeah.
or it rubs off on each other.
Yeah, because definitely on the shifts that I've worked alone, where I'm just kind of like, man, I'm just like upset about something today. I don't really have a coworker to kind of just like vibe with. So I'm
Mhm.
just like cleaning and doing some paperwork and doing this stuff, and then my that one regular comes in, and I'm like, hey, you want to have a dab just so I have somebody to talk to for the next couple minutes? I'm
Or
bored.
even if it's just like
Like,
someone random walks in like I've never been here before and they're so excited
oh
and
yeah, 100%.
like
Like the amount of if you have been shopping or coming into our dab bar for a while, you become a friend. It's not even like you become a regular, you become a friend and part of the family. And I don't mean that in like a marketing sense, like you're part of the family. No, it's genuinely like we're gonna hit you up on Instagram so we can all go get drinks. Like
it's a real
it,
sense of community there
100%.
for sure.
And then the people that come in that have never been there before, or even the people that live in town that are like, hey, I just saw that you've been here. I didn't even know that, so I just wanted to come in. We get so excited, like, oh, yeah, another person's coming into the family. Cool.
Let me tell
Like,
you what we
yeah,
got going on
you're the
here.
newbie, best.
It was me at one point, you
Yeah, well, it was
know.
all of us at some point. Like, God, the team that I joined when I started working with this company, so drastically different than the team that we've built like as a unit because the team that I came into, not to like downplay anyone because there were some good people on that team and there were some bad people on that team, but the team that I came into, there were shifts that I dreaded coming to because of the people I knew I was going to have to work with, and then there were team meetings where I was just kind of like, we had the competition with sales and competition with like numbers and things like that, and it was like I have to beat this person almost like out of pride because I want them to lose. You know what I mean? It was so toxic.
Yeah.
It was not a good environment, and the kind of management that we had at the time and that has now kind of trickled down to what we have now has really allowed us to create a team that isn't is completely non-toxic, is incredibly loving, is so supportive
Supporting,
of each
yeah.
other. Anytime we have competitions and somebody wins, the rest of the team is just as excited for them to get a bonus as if they're getting the bonus. And I've seen that, and that literally I was in a meeting with the owner of the company with tears in my eyes talking about how I'm so glad that we all like each other this much because it's I've never experienced that at a job, and I never thought that was even possible in a
Yeah,
work relationship anyway.
right. I've never enjoyed even just working. So it
Right, oh
doesn't
yeah,
even feel like work. I
100%,
said it to
yeah.
my mom the other day. I said I'm on a permanent vacation.
Yeah,
I said
100%, yeah.
I'm just here enjoying my life, on my
Yeah.
time off. I'm working on the podcast and my music, and when it's time to go into work, I'm like, bet, let's go to work.
Yeah.
I look forward to it all the time. And sometimes I won't even check like who I'm working with that day, just to like so I can just
You're
walk
just
in and be like,
surprised. You're
"What
like,
up,
"Oh,
yo?
hey, it's
Oh,
you.
word."
Yeah, let's do this."
Right? But yeah, I don't know what else I was gonna say about. Oh yeah, I do. Was like I forget who I was talking to about it the other day, but since we are a hemp dispensary rather than a legal marijuana
Yeah.
dispensary, like that sense of community is there because it's a place where people come to hang out rather than just a transactional experience like
Yes,
legal
100%.
marijuana is. Like you have to get in there and get the hell out of there. Like
Right.
you can't even open the product in there and
Right.
like test it out and see what it's all
Yeah.
about.
And having like not to like brag or nothing cuz it's not always me. It's like definitely always like you guys too and anyone else in the company, but like having coming in and them being just as excited like you should try out this strain, it's my favorite. Or like this is what the effects of it, or like here's a story from the first time I smoked this strain,
Yeah.
or just kind of just being knowledgeable enough to explain it, cuz like that was when I started kind of vacationing and having like the economical opportunity to kind of travel a little bit more after I got this job. I started going and visiting other dispensaries and visiting other cafes that were like hemp cafes around the state, and just like peeking my head in, not always to buy something, but just to see how other businesses operate and maybe how
Mhm.
I could do better or how like our business could grow, or just kind of just to see what other products were out there because I don't know everything. Like I don't know about Delta 10, I don't know about THCP. Like there's so much going on in the country with legal hemp derived THC right now, and I just want to know. And there's so many places I've walked into that have been like, "Hey, what flower do you have? Like, is it Delta 8? Is it sprayed? Is it THCA? Like, what cannabinoids am I looking at? Like, what are the effects? Like, what's the THC content?" Like, all these other questions that I have because I'm,
Mhm.
in the industry at this point, so I can I'm like, have the enough knowledge to ask these questions so I know what I'm paying for and what I'm getting and how it's going to affect me personally. And I walk in and like there's definitely experiences I've had where I've walked in, they've been like, I don't it's cannabis, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm not buying it if you
Yeah.
can't explain it to me, dude.
Yeah. What?
But
Yeah.
like I've never seen anyone at our company ever be like, it's just flour, I don't know. It'll get you high, I guess. I've
Yeah.
never seen that from anyone at our company because we all just put too much heart in it. We want to be able to explain it to people because we're excited for how it works because all that's gonna do is like push the legalization legislation forward.
Yeah. People need to understand. A lot of times we have to explain the difference between Delta 9 and Delta 8 to people
Mhm.
because they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
And
Or like any of the semi-synthetic derivatives like THCO, HHCO,
mhm.
things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you go into a store and they can't even tell you any like really information about it. That just shows you, the difference between like our team and theirs, where it's like, they don't even have the deep knowledge because it goes deep. You can go deep in that rabbit hole, and
Yeah.
it's like there's even some things that I don't
Oh
understand when
yeah.
you get deep enough into it. But that's why you just got to keep repeating these things and educating people who aren't as educated as we are on it, because we learn from each other. And then
100%. Yeah.
it's deep, but let's move away from the holistic connection, I guess. Come through
We'll
though.
get that once I
This is
once I start my cannabis
yeah. So actually, we were
podcast. We'll
talking about
get
the
into
pod. We
that.
were talking
Yeah.
about the pod. When are you gonna start the pod? Any idea?
My work schedule, wink wink, might be changing quite a bit in the coming weeks slash months. I might have some more free time opening up, so with that as well, the amount of free time I have, just kind of just do fun things now instead of just work, work, work. Because when I moved back from Florida and I got to Nashville and I was very like not stable with what I was doing, I worked 80-hour work weeks and 4 different jobs because I could not get a single job to give me more than 20 hours max. And so after signing up for all 4 jobs and them seeing, I don't want to be like how hard of a worker I am, but how much effort I'm willing to put into work if they're going to give me money to live off of. They would start giving me more hours that I didn't ask for. And I ended up with 80-hour work weeks with 4 different jobs for like 5 months in a row with no days off. So I ended up making a lot of money, but oh my
Damn.
god,
Yeah.
I would
That's
never. The fact that I had to do that just to be financially stable is kind of disgusting, in my opinion.
sure I couldn't do it. I
Right,
don't know.
right. But like, I at some point my health started deteriorating, and I started collapsing at work from not heart, but like chest pains, and I was like, I'm gonna die if I keep doing this like in a year. Like I'm concerned for myself. So I ended up getting those 4 jobs cut down to 2, and I'm still vibing with the 2. So.
I mean, yeah. It didn't take. How long did it take you to become manager?
Oh god. I started with the company late February, early March of 2022. I was assistant manager or evening manager by November. And then come December, our general manager left and there was no one else, and this was like 2 days before Christmas. So our regional manager walks in, she looks at me and she's like, "Do you want to do it? Like just you can have the job. It's there if you want it." And I was just kind of like, I mean, that comes the pay raise. I'll do anything. So, but no, I was really excited when the opportunity came, and like, I'm still good friends with the old general manager. She's a fantastic person. But I'm kind of glad for the opportunity that kind of created and got set up for me because it made me feel like within the time span of like a year and 4 months, I was able to really work up in this industry and in this company, and it finally feels like that decision that I made a year and a half ago to move back to Nashville wasn't just a mistake or a wasted decision to like not take other opportunities. It feels like this was finally like the right decision. So
Good shit.
yeah,
Proud of you.
yeah.
And she's younger than me. Yo.
I don't even know by how much. How old
Say,
are
when
you?
is your birthday?
My birthday is February 9th of 1999. I'm
February
24.
9th. Yeah, yeah. I'm a month older than you. Mine's birthday's
That
January
doesn't
January
count.
first,
Okay. That doesn't
1999.
count.
So definitely missed your birthday
Oh
because that
yeah,
was like
yeah,
right
yeah.
when I think that was one of my training days actually too. It was
I also,
8th or
I
9th or
definitely
something.
worked on my birthday too.
And you just didn't say, "Hey,
Yeah.
it's my birthday."
Well, I wasn't gonna say it's my birthday. I brought a birthday cake to work and everything, so I'm lame. I baked my own cake,
I don't
brought
know
it
if I
to
was
work,
working then.
sat
Maybe.
in my office with 2 little candles, like, yeah, happy birthday to me, blew it out, and then clocked back in after my break. That was my birthday. Yeah. No, I ended up going to Disney World like 2 weeks later. It's fine.
You love Disney World.
Oh my god, I've been like, I don't even want to know how many times I've been to Disney World, and it's not like I grew up going to Disney World. Like, again, I did
Yeah.
not come from a financially like abled family to be able to do that. My sister did the Disney college program and made a bunch of friends that stayed down there. So I've just had the opportunity in the span of 4 years to go like 10 different times. So I
Sweet.
could probably go like twice a year at this point. I'm definitely one of those lame Disney adults that if you were to go to my apartment, my whole wall has lounge flies and Disney ears and photos of all of my trips. Like, yeah.
It's hard.
It's hard because, like, I won't go back and visit the departments that I worked for, but honestly, the places that I worked at Disney World are pretty easy for me to avoid when I go, so it's like, it's cool. I'll just pretend I didn't work there.
You think they would recognize you still? I mean,
Honestly, just the way that Disney World functions and the way that their employee kind of system functions, it's probably not the same people. If I were to go, I wouldn't recognize
yeah.
anyone.
At this
And
point,
except for maybe like 1 or 2 of the people who have been there for like 30 years, you know?
and even then, it's like it's a busy
They're not gonna
place.
know
I'm
who
sure
I
they gotta point
am.
you
Yeah.
out and be like, "This is a dope place. I've been twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a long time. It's been like a decade now since I've been, but shit, I would love to go again."
We
Oh,
gotta get like,
dude,
we
going on
shut
some
down the
mushrooms or
Holistic
some shit would be
Connection for like
dope.
2 days and all fly down to Disney World for a team meeting. We'll have our team meeting and like Magic Kingdom or something.
That'd be wild.
Definitely.
So let's actually look at the notes because we were just going off everything.
Yeah,
We were
100%.
just talking. Just go back to the new song for a second. And what was like the process of recording it with Matt? Like,
Honestly, it wasn't that much of a process as far as
just
I'm
got it
aware.
done.
Just cause, yeah, cause like when one of the biggest things for me that's been a struggle, again, because I absolutely hate the recording process. It's my least favorite part of kind of the music process for me. So I have been trying to record and release music for years, and I've just never had like that not drive, but like desire to walk into a recording studio and just get it done because I hate it that much. So I remember, I tried to work with a different producer on it, and the process was just taking a little too, it was essentially getting dragged out. And I did not want to spend a lot of time on the production because again, that's my least favorite part of the process. So finally, I just dropped it and was like, I don't want to work with that person on that particular song anymore. They're still a great person. I love that producer. They are fantastic. It was just, we all had a ton on our plate at the time, and it was just not the right time to be working on
Mm-hmm.
it. But I remembered, the song's a little bit spring themed. It's called Metamorphosis. It kind of references caterpillars, kind of transforming into butterflies and whatnot. So I was like, this is kind of a spring themed song, and I had a gig lined up for April 1st. It's not an April Fool's joke, but for April 1st at an outdoor cafe in Knoxville. And God, March 12th, I think, I reached out to Matt and was like, I have maybe a week to record this so we can get it sent to the distribution network to where it can get on Spotify because
Mm-hmm.
I want to drop this song at that gig because my next gig won't be until like late May, and I feel like this is the only opportunity I'm going to have, and I need somebody. I don't care how much I have to pay you, man. I just got to have somebody that can get it done in like 2 takes to where I can just be done with it and then they can mix it because I don't want any hand in that. It's just too much of a headache. I don't like that part of the process. I don't want to have too much of a hand in on it.
Keep it simple.
I want to have a couple opinions on like the final product and that's it. And so he was like, "Yeah, I can get it done in a week." I don't think it was like March 18th when I walked into his little studio, and I did it on the second take. And we were able to kind of like fine tune a couple areas, and then I left. March 26th, I think, was when we kind of like sat down and listened to a couple final mixes, decided on some last minute changes, and that day we sent it off to distribution. So I had like, when it comes down to like the nitty gritty, like mixing and mastering, that was really all Matt.
Yeah.
Like I had a couple opinions on some bass line stuff, and then like the way like reverb sounded on my voice, and that was about it.
Yeah, he was showing me too while he was working on it. He
Yeah.
brings his laptop into work sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was listening. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not really what my cup of tea is, right?
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
still enjoyed it.
Right. And everybody's music is like completely their opinions. My friends have released some EDM stuff that I'm like, I don't listen to that, but that sounds really cool for people who do listen to that, and I can just tell that it was done right. Like the mastering of it, it just sounds like a well-produced song. It sounds like the people who are into that genre would like it. I completely respect it. It's not something I like purposefully go out and listen to on Spotify, but if somebody turns it on, I'm not gonna turn it off, kind of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You gotta respect it,
Yeah, 100%.
Different art forms, and it's all music at the end of the day. And yeah, so yeah, I would never really listen to much music like that. That's just me being honest.
Right.
But I just think it's dope that you're doing your thing, starting to put yourself out there.
Definitely.
So I had to have you come on the pod, and because you're, a huge reason of why I'm, even friends with you right now is because you gave me the opportunity to work with you. So I feel like I owed you that, because I know some of our other friends and bud tenders want to come on the show, but
yeah, we gotta have like a group show.
That would
have
be
like all 7 of us sitting on these couches.
You know, it would be cool. I've had this idea before because the most people we've had on the pod is 5, and I don't think we could do more than that, honestly. And we only have
could do
we only have 4
6.
mics, and like have people share mics or something.
We could do 6.
But
no,
I think if we do, so if we have all of us though, we have people rotate in, and like we have something going on in the background.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
So like, say 2 people are playing Mario Kart in the background while the rest of us are playing,
or smoking outside. They come back in and they're like, okay, I'm good to talk.
Yeah, so then it just every like 5 minutes or so, or like 10 minutes or so, we just rotate the seats.
Yeah, and that would be very entertaining to like watch that.
By the end of the night, we're all fucked up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, honestly, let me know when that is. I want to make sure everybody is scheduled to be off for that amount of time.
For that squad, that'd be
the squad pod.
The squad pod, the dream team squad pod. But so Metamorphosis is out now. We're gonna have Matt come on the show next, and he's gonna talk a little bit more about that too. And then you're talking about that you're working on like an EP of other songs that you have written. Like, how many other songs do you even have written?
Oh
Are
my
they
God,
all for this EP?
No. This EP is gonna have, I believe, the way me and Matt were talking about it, because Matt is gonna be producing this EP as well. It should be released hopefully in August, maybe September. It's kind of the time frame that we're looking at. More details coming soon. Hopefully it'll have about 5 different songs on it. Metamorphosis will be included as the first track, as kind of like an intro track, because that was always what it was meant to be anyway, because it is a shorter song. So that was my plan for it once it was finished anyway. But it's called What's Out There. And essentially it is one song for each national park that I have backpacked or kind of been in.
And those songs were inspired by like those?
To an extent, yes. Or things that I learned on the trip, whether that's like factual things about that national park, because I've hidden that in some of my songs in very discreet ways, because that's one of my favorite things to do. I'm an incredibly metaphorical person, in my personal life and in my music. But also some of it is just like the emotions or the trials that I was going through in my personal life at the time, and how kind of being in that physical space helped me through that. And so like a thank you to just having access to that land and to those parks and to that environment. Kind of for example, one of the songs that's going to be on the EP is called Bad Omens. I've had that song written for like 2 years now. It's probably one of the first duets I ever wrote. And my sister is going to be choreographing a dance to it, hopefully as well. But that song, I wrote it while I was in. Oh God, let me think. I was in Kenai Fjords National Park, and
Where the hell is that?
this in Alaska.
I'm saying,
Yeah, it's in
never
Alaska.
heard of it.
There's multiple national parks I've been in Alaska with a couple different songs for each one. But that song's actually at the time I was taking some Northern Indigenous Studies classes with University of Alaska Anchorage, and one of the things that I learned, as somebody who absolutely has like an obsession with the Northern Lights, I think they're gorgeous. Of course, everybody thinks they're gorgeous, but like you'll hear kind of in the EP because I'm gonna do like a track, just like a background, just talking about like what the entire EP and what this track means to me, and essentially like why I care about Alaskan history and that kind of environment in the state so much. But Bad Omens is essentially about how a lot of communities that live in that area for hundreds and thousands of years have actually considered the Northern Lights to be a bad omen or to be not, good. Essentially, have you ever heard "Don't Whistle When the Lights Are Out" if you're living in Fairbanks or in like northern Alaskan communities? Um, so
Why is
essentially,
that?
that's like a very like weird thing to write a song about, or kind of, I guess. It's a very detailed thing to write a song about, and you wouldn't think that that would inspire any kind of music, or any kind of, what's the word, like new age music, I guess, singer songwriter kind of genre. But I kind of took that information and ran with this love triangle story about these two people being in love, but the essentially the personification of the Northern Lights just being a trick. And it kind of goes into like it's very discreet. You have to really read between the lines, but there's like a hint about climate change in there and just kind of the toxicity between toxic relationships and the relationship between humans and just kind of divinity. Right. That I like went off on it. It's
So
a very
wait, so why
metaphorical
do they
person.
consider the lights a bad omen though? I'm
Right. Oh
confused
yeah,
by that.
yeah, and it's just like it depends on the community that you go to because like there's some communities, not just in Alaska but in like the Canadian area as well that consider the lights to be like ancestors and their spirits. So for like some communities it is a good thing. For some communities it's like a doorway to the other side or a staircase to the heavens or their version of the afterlife. Some communities it really is just essentially the spirits trying to call living people away from the earthly world. So it's not a good sign, and that's why you don't whistle when the lights
It's
are out.
like it's opening up like we're about to take a couple of you.
Essentially, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Soul when they're going up the stairs and
Right,
he's
right.
trying to run
I've
the
heard
other
some
way.
story, and this may be slightly inaccurate, and I apologize for any kind of communication or miscommunication surrounding the accuracies of this. It's been a long time since I've read these stories or looked into this. Just because I've been living in Nashville for so long now. But I definitely heard like one story about how it's kind of their version of the gods or kind of divine spirits and entities like kicking the heads of humans around like soccer or something like that, and that's what creates the physical like visual aspects of the Northern Lights.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Like you could go so far into it because there's so many different communities up there that all have their own
Yeah.
interpretation of what it is. It's so incredible to like see all of that and to like hear those stories and meet those people.
So we're talking. We got to talking about the lights from the Bad Omen song and
Yes, yeah.
song
I'm
and
sorry.
and songwriting. So
Yeah.
like, how long have you been songwriting? You also play guitar as well.
hmm
So have you been playing writing songs for how long?
So I haven't. I've been playing guitar since my sophomore year of college. So not very
Semi
long at all. Like
recently, yeah.
5 or 6 years now. It's not a long time if you
Mhm.
like think about how old I am and how long like other singer songwriters and far more successful singer songwriters have been playing or singing.
Mhm.
I've been singing since I was a child, like as little as you can get. I remember being in daycare, like not even in kindergarten yet, being like a 3 year old
Uh-huh.
in my daycare, and while everyone else was playing on the playground, I have like vivid memories of this. I would sit on the swing set and tell people to leave me alone so I could practice singing Toby Keith to where I could show my
Leave
dad.
me
Yeah.
alone. Fuck off,
Oh yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah. No, I used to sit like I'd be sitting on the swing set as a 3 year old practicing American Soldier by Toby Keith.
It's a pretty
Um
vivid memory,
oh
honestly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But so like I've always wanted to be a singer. I've always known I wanted to be a singer. it's definitely something that I've tried to kind of fight myself on, and something that is still very hard for me to kind of like it almost like pushes in and out of my personal life and my professional life. That being said though, I wrote a lot of slam poetry in my school days and up until the end of my high school career. I had too many kind of teachers and people I tried to reach out to in the music community because I didn't have access to that community in a rural town
Mhm.
that were like, if you don't already know how to do it at this point, you'd never be successful, so why bother finding the opportunity for you?
It's the fucking shittiest thing anyone could ever fucking say,
Oh
dude.
yeah, yeah,
It's never too
100%.
late to
It's
start.
so
I don't
funny too because like
until you're
I
fucking dead.
remember when I graduated college, like summa cum laude, and walking up to my music teacher from elementary school that told me that I would never be a good singer and that like everybody else in my school could sing better than I could, and I was just kind of like, I get paid more than you do to pluck guitars at cafes in Nashville. Like screw you.
For real
I
though.
feel a little
Fuck.
good about. I'm like kind of feeling myself right now when it comes to that.
Yeah,
But
that's like when teachers tell rappers when their kids ain't gonna be shit, and then
oh yeah, yeah. I
they're
mean, it
way
inspires
rich.
you for like what I will say is for the musicians that have that anger fuel as their fuel for the first couple years of their musical career. That passion is what helps drive them to success. But I will say, coming from somebody who came from that same position, that is also what can be your downfall because you hold on to that anger and you hold on to that hatred for too long and it becomes toxic to you and it becomes toxic to your music and your style of writing as well. Unless you fix your personal life and get some damn therapy, you will never go farther in the music industry until you fix yourself.
It makes me think like when I first got into college, so I didn't even take any music classes in high school. I had very little music experience, but like I was like the music guy in high school when it came to like parties or
Yeah.
like the football
Yeah.
team. Like I was playing music most of the time. Like people just knew to come to me for good music.
Right, right. And I do want to kind of reiterate real quick, so I'm thinking about this. When it comes to like mental health, you don't need to fix anything. That was just kind of like a poor choice of words. It's just work on yourself and kind of take the steps
Yeah.
to make sure that you're in a healthy position and just in the best place that you can be in life and be happy. That's kind of what I meant. Um,
Just
just want to
overthinking it,
like
right?
make sure and make that aware. You shouldn't like be trying to fix yourself. That's not what I meant. But
Yeah, just get better. I mean, because
yeah,
but the point I was trying to make was since I had no real experience, someone told me beginning of college that like how do I even expect to be successful in music and I don't know like basic music theory, and I was like, because I love music fucking more than anything, I'm
right.
passionate about it, and that has shown the last 5 years from me
And
making
that's what's
a
gonna
hundred.
attract opportunities to you.
Right, people see that clear as day
Yeah,
now. I put out 100 fucking songs. I don't know many other artists that have put out 100 songs
yeah.
in the last couple of years. Maybe bigger ones, but I'm saying people that I know personally. I don't think I know anybody. Just saying, not to toot my own horn, but that just shows if you're
Yeah,
passionate,
100%.
no matter
You'll
what,
find a
no
way.
matter what people are telling you, it's never too late to start. I started when I was 19, really starting to
Yeah.
write songs,
Same,
and
same, yeah. The first song I ever wrote, other than like my freshman year of college, I co-wrote a song. God, I don't even remember what it's called because I can't. I ended up at the time I was only a lyricist. I pitched myself in the industry as mainly a lyricist because I couldn't play any instruments other than like drum set, which is a real instrument, but like you can't. It's hard to write music to a non-melodic instrument
mhm,
as starting out. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
I get it.
Um, but I co-wrote a song. Oh, it was called The Summit. Yeah, it was like this little song about Point Reyes National Seashore out in Northern California. I hired a guitarist to write the guitar part for me, and it is so insanely difficult, and I can't get the recording from him. I haven't spoken to him in like 5 years. So I can't get any kind of recording, and I can't learn stuff by ear, so I can't just, now that I can
Mhm.
play guitar pretty well, I can't just pull it out of my head, you know what I mean? So the song is just like gone to the wind. It's one of those projects that'll kind of like never get finished. But the first song I was ever able to write by myself, where I wrote the melody, I wrote the guitar parts, I wrote all the lyrics to it. It's hard because seeing that song and all the music I've written since, I can see how much I've grown. But I'll still occasionally play that song at my gigs, and I'm like, this sounds so cheesy because it was so basic. But like, it's one of those like Taylor Swift esque breakup songs. So I was
Yeah.
kind of just like, I have to like throw this in there as a little Easter egg to any of my friends who've been like with me since then. Um, But yeah, that was like one of the first. It was just like 4 chords strumming. The bridge was the same 4 chords, and then like a very basic lyrical structure. And so now that I'm at at a space where I'm like this weird 3 verse, like incredibly metaphorical lyrics to finger picking background that I can sing and play magically at the same time somehow, seeing kind of my own growth has been. It's weird to play both the songs at gigs because
Yeah.
I feel almost like I'm like, this is
Reverting
trash. I
to
don't
the
want to
old.
sing this anymore, but I need content, so I'm gonna sing it. So,
Right, you just gotta keep going.
yeah, and it makes me a little bit proud too because a lot of the songs I've written to come from like places or times I've been at bad mental health situations or just in a bad place, and to kind of sing it now and to realize in the moment I can't put the same kind of emotion and same almost desperation into sad like ballads that I've written in the past. It's almost like therapeutic to realize
Yeah,
that this song and the events that took place that led me to write that song aren't impactful on my current life, that it feels wrong to sing it now because I just can't put the same kind of emotion
you
into the
made it through it.
performance.
Yeah,
So,
only way out is through. You made it through it.
exactly.
You had to
Yeah.
make that shit, and there's no like, who cares if it's bad or
Right, because at the
cheesy
time
or
I was
whatever,
like, damn, this is like the best thing I could have written. Oh my god.
rather
Like, all
than
my
just
friends love this song.
like deleting it and hoping like no
Right.
one ever sees this. Like
Being
no,
able to play the song at gigs or putting it on an EP or like doing things like that almost helps me acknowledge like those events happened, but like damn, look at where I'm at now with these other songs though and these other like events that have happened in my life and where I'm at now.
absolutely, I feel the same way, and I wish I could even go like further back. My first like real rap music video I made when I was like in middle school with my neighbor, and like I wish we could find that video
Right.
because I deleted it off YouTube because I was embarrassed or whatever. By the time high
No, I
school
have
came
so much
around and
stuff
shit,
on my old YouTube channel. Nobody look it up. Don't. And you don't even have my real name, so you can't look it up, so it's fine. But no, no. I've still got so much old stuff from middle school and high school on my old YouTube channel. Like
I don't. It's all gone. It's
I gotta show you this. Like, I got so many like horse because I was a horse girl growing up. I grew up in a rural community in Kentucky. Of course, I had horses, but like, oh my god, and I was one of those like kids that was like, I'm gonna go watch Spirit. I'm singing Here
it's
I
a horse
Am for the
movie.
talent show. Yes, only horse girls are gonna get that reference.
Spirit, shout out.
Yeah, that and watching Saddle Club after school. Oh my god, I was one of those bitches.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Alright, so we were talking about you playing guitar and singing forever. Like, what were some of your musical influences
Ooh, okay.
growing up, and like also like while you started making your own music?
Yes, okay, so this is so hard because who I am musically as a singer-songwriter is not who I wanted to be in the industry. But it has grown because everybody's taste changes a little bit as they grow up
Oh
or,
yeah, for sure.
as they go through certain events in life.
Mhm.
And just because of the kind of friends that I had and the opportunities that I had musically and the kind of music that I needed, I ended up I'm at the point now in my life I'm writing the music that I needed 3 years ago. And I love that.
Preach.
Right? Um, but it's not the music that I like wanted to be. So, a little bit of like let's start from the beginning. I mean, I told you a little bit about how when I was in daycare, I was singing Toby Keith. I grew up on country music. I still listen to country music a little bit, depending on the artist, old and new country music. But when I was growing up, my favorite artists were like Toby Keith, Trace Adkins, Rascal Flatts, and Rascal Flatts is still my favorite artist,
Me
y'all.
and
Like,
my gang.
Life is a, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that's
that's a
such a good
bang.
song. No, but Life is a Highway was my jam, man. No, I
That
love
shit's
Rascal
overplayed
Flatts.
on Broadway.
Jesus Christ.
Like, play me and my gang for once, not
Yes.
fucking Life is a
Life is a
Highway for
Highway.
the millionth
It's a
time.
good song.
It is, but like, you
Oh
just
my
hear the
god.
same shit on
Yeah, but
Broadway all the
that's like what
time.
I listened to. I remember my first concert because growing up in a rural community in Kentucky, of course I grew up in a Christian household. So I do have a lot of like Christian influence just because that's what I listened to, and musically it is a good genre. But like Casting Crowns was my first ever concert. And I still love some of their music, and their songs were what I sang at most of the talent shows I had growing up because I have a lower vocal range, and the guy lead singer was right mid range for me. So I was like, this is perfect. I'm just gonna sing this every year. But so I got to that point, and then probably around the time I was 8 or 9 years old, I have two older siblings. My oldest sister started getting into like rock music, and I don't mean like Blink 182 or like Guns N' Roses. That's like two very
Yeah,
different bands I
but
just stated.
yeah,
Not anything like that. It was
two,
very like either metal or punk music.
so
And
not rock.
right, well I don't know. Uh,
Right,
but like cuz
kind
I
of,
was
but
too young to understand subgenres, so
yeah.
don't listen to me. But because I was very much that little sister that wanted to be like, I'm gonna listen to whatever my older sister listens to. I'm wearing her clothes. I'm gonna listen to her. I'm gonna watch her favorite movies, gonna read her favorite books. She's got me into a lot of the like cultural phenomena and things that I love now, like anime or different like mangas, or like my favorite books of all time were books that she gave me that she was like, I don't really love this, but I like bought it. You want to read it? Because she's a couple years older than I am. She's like 28. Um, sorry if I got that wrong.
You
I'm pretty
don't know
sure
your
she's
sister's
28.
age.
I don't know any of my sister's ages. I don't know how old my dad is either, or my mom. I'm horrible with numbers, so don't ask me to know that. I'm pretty sure she's 28, but um, she introduced me to Avenged Sevenfold at 9 years old, taught me how to sing A Little Piece of Heaven as a prank for my parents, which is horrible. If you know the
I
lyrics to that
don't.
song, I'm not going to repeat them on your podcast because I don't know if I'm allowed to. It's bad. It's essentially a song glorifying domestic murder. It's it gets into detail, my dude. But yeah, I loved Avenged Sevenfold. By the time I was like 9 to like 17, I was obsessed with Avenged Sevenfold. Breaking Benjamin. 3 Days Grace was my favorite. I have a 3 Days Grace tattoo. That was my very first tattoo. It's on the back of my neck. Um, the One X album, best album. That or Transit of Venus. Which is very if you're a 3 Days Grace fan, that's like a very heavy hitting opinion. I'm going like down a rabbit hole, but I love
Keep
these
going.
artists still.
Yeah,
Um,
let it fly.
so I started getting really into that. I was still listening to old school Disney stuff like Hilary Duff, obsessed with her. Oh my gosh, but like the Hilary Duff movies, fantastic.
Hannah Montana.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato is still good. I don't know, Miley
She had some
Cyrus, a
bangers.
queen.
Cool
You
for
know
the
what I
Summer is a
mean?
bop.
Oh
I
my
love
god,
that song.
yes. But
It's a
so by the
bop.
time I was 18 and I graduated and went to college, I was convinced I was going to meet the proper people because I can drum and sing at the same time, and no one really knows that because I just don't talk about it really a lot because I don't
Mhm.
love playing drums. It's not something I'm extremely passionate about. I like guitar more.
Mhm.
So I was convinced I was gonna join a punk band and become like the next up and coming punk star, like Avril Lavigne or something. And that just didn't happen because I couldn't meet the right people. I just couldn't meet the kind of people in that scene that wanted to work with me. And because I had no real musical background, because I'm only a lyricist at the time,
Mhm.
I just couldn't get anyone to take me seriously whenever I would try. And so I just kind of dropped it and was like, I'm just going to try to get into the industry some other way. Ended up learning guitar my sophomore year of college. And at the time, I was going through some really bad anxiety and panic episodes, and I realized some of the music that truly just helped get me through panic attacks was very folky. So like freaking love the Paper Kites. Also Southern Goth is a really cool genre. I don't know if you know the Civil Wars. They're a huge, so like if I were to talk about the artists that really impacted my music now, Rascal Flatts still
Yep.
for the rest of my
I
life.
always thought for the longest time that main dude in Rascal Flatts was named Rascal Flatts.
Oh, same. I'm still convinced that's your real name, dude. You
Yeah,
better
that
legally
dude is
change it.
Rascal Flatts. I don't
Oh
give a
yeah.
shit about the rest of the
Um,
band.
but the people who definitely like impact my music style now and the kind of music that I write, the Paper Kites, the Civil Wars, Rascal Flatts, so a little bit of country, a little bit of kind of a more folky side. I love Mumford and Sons. Kind of a genre like that, and I lean more a little bit folk pop because I like the production styles of pop music a little more, and just the kind of topics that I go into are gonna lean a little bit more to that. Um, but that being said, it's not really the genre I ever thought I would find myself in or the genre I ever wanted to write for. It's just that ended up once I started going through these life changes and going through these traumatic events in high school and college. that I wanted to be able to say things that I wish I could literally turn back time and say those to my younger self. And it felt like it's because it was the genre that got me through my PTSD and my anxiety. It felt like it was the only proper genre to communicate the things I needed to communicate. And kind of just the farther I kept going in my guitar skills and my vocal skills, I fell into the genre on accident. It was not a genre that I purposely got myself into. And I still love punk music. I still buy tickets to Louder Than Life in Louisville every year. I love rock music. I love old Christian music, the genre is still good. The music is beautiful. Um it's just like I still listen to all of those genres. I'll go to like a Taylor Swift concert. If Demi Lovato came to town, I would spend like $1,000 on a ticket to that. You know
$1,000.
what I mean? So I'm just kind
That's
of
what
like,
brings up a good
I
question,
love,
actually.
yeah,
What is the most that you would pay to see? Like, what?
any artist.
Yeah, like what artist would you see, and like how much money
Max
at most?
2,000. Max 2,000.
No chance. I would
I would
never
spend two
spend that.
months rent on
You
that.
gotta be chilling with the artist if
Oh
you're
yeah,
spending
yeah,
that
yeah.
much
No, I
money.
would only spend that much if it was a VIP
Yeah,
experience and
VIP
an
meet and greet.
extended like
I'm
couple
walking on the
hours, you know.
stage, fucking
Right, right. But like,
during the
yeah,
song.
I've spent the most I've ever spent on a ticket is $486 to a it was like one of the VIP tickets to Louder Than Life. And I didn't really get to meet anybody. It was just that you got like an AC area and access to alcohol without having to go to the like ones that had lines.
That's a
You know what I
festival.
mean?
That's a
Yes, yeah,
multi-day
yeah,
festival. So
exactly.
I'm
It's like a 4-day long
it's like
festival.
a one night thing though.
Exactly. That's the most I've ever spent on a concert ticket.
And
The most I've
that's a
ever spent,
festival. So that's
right.
what's a single show?
The most I've ever spent on a single show is $180. And I don't even remember what concert that was. Was it Sleeping with Sirens? I think it was Sleeping with Sirens. But it was their Madness album drop. It was specifically that one because I got autographed posters to decorate my freshman year dorm room from that concert. I remember that specifically. I also remember that Kellen Quinn had lost his voice a little bit before, and so he told everybody coming in, he's like, I don't want you all to think less of me, but we're putting all of these songs that are like your favorite songs down a key because I just can't safely hit those notes, which fantastic applause for him for kind of knowing his limits and being willing to
Mm.
do that because it made him sound better. That being said, all these damn teenagers in the audience were trying to sing it at the normal key because none of them know music theory.
Yeah.
So it was the concert wasn't fantastic because all I could hear were all of these out of tune 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
But like, it's fine. It's fine. We're all enjoying ourselves. It was cool. But yeah.
I'm just trying to think of how much money I would spend on a single concert.
I've also, like, I'm willing to spend $2,000. I've dropped $2,000 on stupid shit.
I
Like,
cannot say the same. The only time I've dropped like $2,000 is like when my laptop broke out of nowhere and
right.
I needed to pay
And I
a
definitely
bill.
want to say it's not because I'm financially, like, well off now or financially capable. I've definitely drained my savings doing stupid shit. So, like, I just want to preface that. I don't have money to throw around. I
You gotta
really
have fun
don't.
there.
Oh my gosh.
Let's wrap this up in a few. I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask a few more questions. We talked about musical influences. Let's talk about your latest adventure. You got a dog now.
Yes, oh my god, I should have brought him. I could, like, pick him up and everything. So, God, should I go into, like, why I got a dog?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, okay. So, something that like most of my close friends now and the people that in my like surrounding community, like all my coworkers and things like that, and then some direct family members kind of know this. When I was in college, and I was diagnosed with PTSD, I was kind of made aware that and like noticed that most of the symptoms that I was showing are things that would happen at night. So a lot of night terrors, a lot of my panic attacks would mainly happen at night, things like that. And it just really messed up my sleep. And what made that very, like, a lot worse was also, like, traumatic things from my childhood took place at night. And this all kind of accumulated into a mental health crisis, um, late in my college career and early, like, outside of college, like, professional career and early adult life as a diagnosed somnophobic. So I'm not afraid of sleep. I would take too many damn naps to be afraid of sleep. But I am afraid of falling asleep in certain situations, in certain circumstances. I can't sleep if I like live alone. If I live alone, I can't sleep in my house. I've slept in my car more often than in my apartment that I pay $1,000 a month for in Nashville. Um, just because I feel safer in my car in Antioch than I do in my apartment, just because of that. And it seems completely illogical, but most of the time phobias are completely illogical. But kind of because of all of that, and because I ended up just for 4 months couch surfing, and I felt like a burden on everyone around me, and I started becoming desperate on trying to find a way to fix it, because I had about a month before I was going to be able to move in with a couple people, and this lease was going to end because I didn't have the money to break the lease. And I couldn't see myself couch surfing or sleeping in my car for another month. Like, mentally, I did not think I had the capacity for it. So I talked to a doctor about it and was able to very quickly get a prescription, I guess, for a emotional support animal. Because as kind of a last ditch effort, the way I saw it was I grew up on a farm. I grew up with three or four dogs running around, and like 5 cats, and at least having 2 animals in my bedroom, along with whatever what other animals were in the house. And so I thought, right now I'm gonna get a dog. It's a lot of responsibility. But financially, I'm capable of it. If he helps me sleep, great. If he doesn't, I'll figure it out until a month from now when I move in with somebody, and then it'll be okay. Because essentially, if somebody else isn't, especially if somebody else is in the room with me, like if I'm sleeping over at like my sister's house and we're both crashing on the couch, I show no symptoms of my somnophobia. If I live with other people, I show pretty much no symptoms. It's just if I live alone or if I'm in a room by myself, typically. So I thought, maybe I'll get a dog, and having another living, breathing thing. You know what I
Being.
mean? Like, not human, I guess. Because I didn't have that opportunity. Kind of being in the same room with me at night will help. And I will say the change has been drastic. I have slept through the night since I've had him from the first day. Like, I've not had a single night where I've really had any issues other than a couple very minor, like, not even anxiety attacks, but just like almost like hyperventilating, and I was able to pull myself back and just calm down, take a hot bath, and go back to bed. Um, because of that, it has helped my physical health tremendously. Because I'm getting a full 8 hours of sleep every single night and not sleeping in because this puppy will wake me up at 7 a.m. every goddamn day. I do not risk sleeping in anymore with this thing. But like,
It's a he, but
yeah.
Budson.
Yeah, his name's Dog Hudson after Doc Hudson from Cars. It's a blue heeler puppy. He's like 12 weeks old now.
Yeah, I just like to call him Budson.
Yeah, he's Budson. I'll definitely like whenever we have our squad pod, I'll bring him and he'll be part of the squad. Because I'll be
He
able to
can't
like,
get drunk though.
yeah. We'll just bring him water or something.
Bring him a
Oh no, get the
CBD
doggy
treat.
CBD treats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I was saying.
he can have something.
Something
But
to relax him,
yeah,
take the
just
edge
kind of
off.
just having him has been like I'm almost gonna cry because it's been like such an impactful help on my health that I am still going to be moving in with my roommate next month, which is going to help even more so. But that being said, if the opportunity arises in the next year or the next couple years where I have to live alone again, I no longer dread that. And I'm terrified of that opportunity occurring again. Like, if I had to finish out the last 3 months of this current lease that I'm under and not move out next month, I feel extremely confident that I would be capable of doing that. It used to be I would go out, I wouldn't go out to bars to get drunk by any means. I would go out and I would buy one drink and just hold it until 2 in the morning so I wouldn't have to go home. I would go try to sleep for 2 hours, and then the second 6 a.m. hit, I would go to a cafe and sit there until my shift started at 9 a.m. And I was getting roughly 2 hours of sleep a night and functioning on 10 or 12-hour work days
Jeez.
to continue, essentially. That's why my physical health was getting so bad, too.
Yeah.
That and the amount of Red Bull I was drinking because of
Jeez.
it. But yeah, just the kind of impact that it's had. And just because that's helped my physical and mental health so much, it's also given me the opportunity to take more, musical opportunities because I'm in a better place physically and mentally that, like, I have time to prepare. I have the energy to write music again. I have the energy to kind of prepare for gigs and actually go out and do them and feel energized at work and, work up. And, that's been proven in my work ethic as well and the things that have been happening at the store. But, like, all of that being said, I've had the most amazing support system from my work and from my personal family and from my friends as well. But I also kind of want to just throw in there, when it comes to ESAs, a lot of people who have ESAs and kind of know how well it can impact your mental and physical health get annoyed when people who just that get their cat signed up as an ESA so they can live with them at apartment complexes that aren't pet friendly, and they get frustrated with that because they're like, it's not the right reason to get one. Coming from someone who it has absolutely saved my life, getting this dog. It has completely changed my life. Please, if you have a cat and you just want to live with them just so you like get an ESA thing to where you can live with them without paying rent, do it. Cheat the system. Fuck the system, honestly.
Break the law.
Yeah, no, whatever. Like, honestly, it's
Fuck the
gonna
system.
help your mental health, even if you aren't diagnosed with any kind of mental health disorders or anything else. It's gonna be a good thing for you. So I don't have any problem with anyone doing it.
Right,
I
if
wish
it can
I would have
affect
done it
their life
sooner.
and someone else,
Exactly.
what does it matter what the reason for people doing it? If it's
Exactly.
gonna help
Cheat the
them,
system.
you know.
ESAs are like the best thing I could have possibly done because it has impacted my physical health so much. I'm hoping to get him trained as a therapy dog as well, so like I can take him and have him help others too. Cause he's also just a really good. He like recognizes when I'm upset and it's really cute, and I'm just kind of like, I love him. He's so cute.
He's the man.
Yeah,
He's the
100%.
bud son.
Yes, but yeah, cheat the system, fuck the system.
I'm glad that
Those
it
are my
worked
those are
out.
my final words.
I'm glad it's working for you.
Yeah.
I definitely could see like myself getting a dog at some point when I'm ready for it. Just because I could use that just companionship and
100%.
emotional support when there's not many people around or
Yeah, having like another living thing that you have to take care of too is really just like fulfilling.
help makes you take care of yourself because you
Oh
gotta
yeah,
take care of them first and then
100%.
you're already up taking care of them. You might as well be like taking care of yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm not sitting in bed until 2 in the clock. Jesus.
Two in
2
the
in the
clock in the
afternoon
morning.
watching TikToks
Right.
anymore on my off day. I'm actually getting up and taking him to the park so he can get some exercise in. And then like coming home and doing some cleaning to make sure that like the house isn't a mess so he isn't going to destroy it, or he's not living in filth, cuz I don't want him to have to do that, just like I shouldn't have to do that. And then I have essentially the mental energy to go out and hang out with my friends, and sometimes I'll take him with me cuz it's just kind of like, well, you should come too because my friends like seeing you cuz you're cute, cuz you're a puppy. And, socialization's important.
Brings good
Yeah.
energy, yeah.
Exactly.
Especially when we already got good energy at the store and
Exactly. But yeah, my quality of life is so incredibly different just in the span of a month. And
hell yeah.
yeah,
It's just gonna keep going.
100%. Like, I am so glad that, like, I wish dogs lived forever like any other dog mom. But also, like, the fact that hopefully the next, like, 20 years or so, I'm going to have essentially an amazing quality of life because I have, like, this incredible dog.
And then plus everything else too in your
Yeah,
life too.
100%. Like,
Enhance
I have gone from a quote unquote self-proclaimed realist but truly a pessimist to a slight kind of sometimes optimist.
sometimes.
So yeah.
Yeah, you just can't focus on what's going on really in the
Yeah,
world right
I
now.
always go home and there's this cute little puppy that just wants to play fetch, and I'm just kind of like, it can't be that bad. I'm just,
Right? You got a
I'm
great
good.
job.
Yeah.
Our world's doing pretty good. The rest of the world, get your shit together.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, last question.
Okay.
Goals for 2023, near future.
For this year, I had to think about that. I was like, next year it is not 2022
Yeah, it's
anymore.
2023.
God, it's April at
It
this
is
point.
April 10th right now.
I wrote 2021 on one of our work papers the other day. I had to drive back to corporate and fix it. No, let's see. I definitely, my EP. That's gonna get dropped. I already scheduled it to drop. That's gotta happen. Sometimes I'll schedule stuff to drop throughout the past couple years and not done it because I've not had the drive to do it. It's gonna happen this year. Another goal is to kind of just work up in the radio industry, kind of continue that side of my career, but also get at least one step further in the cannabis industry. I've already made two incredible jumps that I never expected in the past 6 months alone. So for the rest of 2023, I want to make one more jump.
What would that be though?
Um, I would love the opportunity, like right now I kind of oversee the 8th Avenue South location.
We wouldn't be functioning without you, I
Right,
feel
right.
like. I mean,
I would love the opportunity to have my, not completely oversee, but have my hand in helping some of the other locations. Because our store, like not just me, but all of the bud tenders at our store, we help train bud tenders for other locations and for the restaurant.
mhm.
So I would really love the opportunity to kind of have my hand in on other locations as well. So, and kind of help them thrive and help their team thrive in the way that our team is. So,
We thriving out here.
oh yeah, we
So,
thriving and surviving.
so this was episode 36 of the Endless Enjoyment Podcast with Mary J.
Yes.
Go check out her new song, Metamorphosis.
Out on Spotify, out on Apple Music.
Everywhere you stream music.
Yeah.
Go stream that shit. Mary, Jay, Mary J. You can follow her on Instagram at Mary_J Music. And yeah, she's the best boss I've ever had.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
Got the best job in the
It's
world.
my first management positions, kind of. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is to know that I'm kind of really just doing something.
Yeah, you're good at, you're good at telling us what needs to be done and what we need to be better at without, acting like you're better than us or like.
Right. Yeah, because most of the time, a lot of the stuff that y'all mess up, I'm messing up too. I'm just,
Right,
I'm
yeah.
just communicating. We all gotta do this shit,
Yeah,
you
we
know.
gotta help each other out
Yeah.
and, work together as a team and
Yeah.
we're killing it and it's just gonna keep like this industry is booming. So I mean,
100%.
as the weather gets
It's
nicer,
only gonna get bigger.
I know it's getting busier too. And
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tips are getting better too.
oh,
Thanks,
yeah,
guys.
My checks are going.
Tippy bud tenders.
So come visit Mary and I at the Holistic Connection on 8th Avenue in Nashville.
Absolutely.
Go check out Buds and Brews as well.
Oh yeah.
The restaurant in Nashville.
Go check out the other Holistic Connection locations as well throughout the state. Knoxville's cool, of course.
One just opened in Antioch.
Yes. Oh my God. You
One's
gotta go
opening in
check out Jamie at Antioch. He's killer.
Yeah,
His
he's
whole
the man.
setup is incredible. Antioch location is stunning. Just gonna say.
Should try to get him on the pod. He's a cool dude.
Oh yeah.
Or him and his
We just
wife, that'd
record
be
it.
cool,
We'll
yeah.
record it at his store. They have a
Yeah,
whole
true.
for anyone that wants to get in on stuff like this. They have a whole setup at their store that you can just. It's free to use. You just go in and ask them if you can use the recording room, and it's set up in their store. Hit a dab and record a show.
Yeah, they have private smoke rooms in there. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because they're a franchise location, unlike
100%.
we're one of the corporate.
Yeah. Shout out to Jake Ducey and his wife over at the Brentwood location because they were the OG management when I got to the Holistic Connection a year and a half ago, and they helped get me to like where I am today in the industry. So I love you guys.
Shout out also the folks we were just training that are going to be working at the new
Oh, yeah, the new
Chattanooga
chat
store.
location.
So check that out very soon. That's opening like what, next week? Or...
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
So by the time it's probably
Yeah,
just
but
go
yeah.
check it out, look it up first.
Definitely. Yeah.
The Holistic
Give them
Connection.
a call first.
Faux show. Yeah, and we keeping it moving and grooving. We'll definitely have Mary back on the pod. We're gonna do a
Squad pod.
Yeah, once we get the rest of the squad on the pod, we'll do a squad pod.
Yeah, we'll get Budson out here.
Yeah, y'all see Budson and yeah, just go stream the new music. Metamorphosis out now.
Yes.
My new single Smash is out now.
Yes.
The pod's back, baby. We coming back better than ever. Thank you, y'all.
Thank
Anything
you.
else you want to say, Mary, before we end this?
No, tip your bud tenders.
Hey, much love. Thank you. Enjoy.
I can't go back and fix every mistake. I can't imagine I deserve to give myself a little grace.